to the Harvey E. Arno Event Center here at the Mountaineer Racetrack and Gaming Resort in Chester, West Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a big night of action coming your way, and it's all brought to you courtesy of Cedric Kushner Promotions in association with America Presents, Showtime, and the undisputed king of beers, Budweiser. This bout coming away is sanctioned by the West Virginia State Athletic Commission. The chairman is Rick Modisett. Introducing to you our three judges scoring this bout from ringside. First, from our nation's capital, we have Paul Artiste. From Raleigh, North Carolina, Bruce Foster. And from Parkersburg, West Virginia, Gary Wolf. And the third man to the ring from Big Indian Run, West Virginia, Tim Wheeler. All right, fans, here we go with the big boys of boxing, a heavyweight special attraction scheduled for 10 rounds of boxing. Introducing to you first on my right, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue trunks with red and white trim, he joins us from Cleveland, Ohio. His weight, 243 pounds. His record stands at 16 wins, 3 losses, 12 of his wins coming by way of knockout. Introducing Ray, the Rain Man Austin. And his opponent across the ring on my left, he is fighting out of the red corner in this 10-round heavyweight attraction. He is wearing black trunks with white trim, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada by way of Los Angeles, California. He tips the scale at 281 1/4 pounds. His record stands at 24 wins, 2 losses, 20 big wins coming by way of knockout. Ranked the number 8 heavyweight in the world by the WBO, introducing Lance Goofi Whitaker. And once again, it's Tim Wheeler, our referee in charge, now to give instructions. 10 rounds of action scheduled.
All right, Ray, Lance, we went over the instructions in the dressing room. You guys know what I expect out of you, all right? I want you guys to remember you're professionals. Act like it. Watch your heads on the inside. Watch your low blows. Any questions here? Any here?
Where's the third judge?
English. All right, fellas, touch them up.
Very small ring, only 18 feet, so these big guys look even bigger. They look like monsters in there. 6'7" Goofi Whitaker, not a particularly fast starter. Height and reach, obvious pluses. Does have power. His power punch, a thudding right hand. Austin, actually Whitaker's third opponent after Izan and Lawrence Klebe, a rangy power puncher who does offer a big right hand, known to be a headhunter. He's got the long jab, lots of heart, but doesn't always use his tools. He is pretty one-dimensional, relies basically on that one punch, the right hand. There's a delay here because they only have 2 out of the 3 judges ringside. Referee Tim Wheeler comes over and explains to us the situation. And they're looking for one more judge. Bobby, is there a judge in the house?
I don't know. It's the first time I've seen that happen.
Okay.
Always a first.
Only in boxing, folks. We're here in the Harv in Chester, West Virginia, awaiting our co-feature between 6'7" Lance Goofi Whitaker and 6'5" Ray Austin. There's one of the judges. They're shaking their heads going, where's the missing judge, who should be sitting just about there on that black stool? This is something in all my years in boxing I have never seen before.
Well, Steve, after Mike Tyson bit of Andrew Holyfield's ear.
Mr. Foster.
Nothing surprises me.
Foster.
We're missing Bruce Foster. They've got Paul Artist and Gary Wolf. Bruce Foster out of Raleigh, North Carolina is the missing judge. Where could he be? Folks, another first.
Okay. I don't think he's got the... Who's got the microphone? Still already coming over.
Even Goofi is laughing. And the crowd is starting to get on edge, and understandably so. The referee, Tim Wheeler, at a big Indian run, West Virginia, is looking around, hoping that somebody sits down on that stool soon. Now it looks like they've got somebody. I'm not sure if it's Bruce Foster, but they have a third judge. Here we go. After a rather bizarre kind of delay. Whitaker most effective when he steps up the pace. He's wearing the black trunks. You can't miss him. The word Goofi on the front of his trunks. He just shouldn't hold back his punches as he has been in the past. Doesn't fight as well on the inside, although he feels he can beat you both on the inside or out. The biggest criticism, he's too calm.
Austin came right at him and still didn't shake him as far as his calm demeanor. Still very calm and purposeful, taking his time. Austin went right at him, though, just to see what he could do early, and hasn't done all that much.
Whitaker, a very patient starter, depends on his physical strength and sturdiness for the most part. He has had problems with fighters who exhibit speed and movement and athleticism, as with his bout with upstart Jameel McCline, December of '01, when Whitaker lost by unanimous decision. And as mentioned, the guy he's facing tonight, Austin, was McCline's chief sparring partner in preparing him for that win over Whitaker. Whitaker missing wildly with the right hand. Austin has had his difficulty with defense. It can be lax. This is his biggest fight since a 9th round TKO loss to Angelo Dundee's heavyweight Attila Levine of Sweden. Austin dropped Levine 10 seconds in, but Levine able to recover and win. Austin dropped him with a straight right. That's his big weapon. Now Austin's eating the jab.
Whitaker has a big, strong, I mean, you look at him, big, strong body, he steps forward, very purposeful. Not the quickest man in the world, but if he hits you and he really fires his weight, which has a reputation for not sitting on his punches enough, he has to be doing some damage on the inside eventually.
Whitaker said he never even heard of Austin until Austin was put into this fight card. He hasn't seen any tapes of him, and he didn't seem overly concerned with Austin. The fact that he was training for a different style in Aisan. Austin found out about this fight about a week and a half ago. He was in the gym with Shannon Briggs, helping him get ready for guess who? Jameel McCline.
Right now, Austin's keeping his left hand dangerously low, and I can't help but think that Whitaker's looking to hold one of those right hands right on the mark.
Put your heads in there, fellas. Watch your heads.
Whitaker coming forward now with more purpose. He's got Austin on the retreat in the final seconds of the opening round. Scheduled for 10.
Time! Very good, fellas.
One round of the books. Let's get the keys to victory from Bobby Chiz.
For Lance Whitaker, he has great height and reach, but he doesn't work in behind the jab. That's going to be key. Also, be more offensive-minded. As we were just talking about, he's too calm in the ring. And the straight right hand is his best weapon. When he turns on it, it can be a devastating punch with all that power and weight behind it. For Ray, Austin, use his speed. He's been known to frustrate Whitaker, take him out of his rhythm. Also, work the body. You want to chop the big man down. Don't let him walk around at will. And outwork Whitaker. Once again, Whitaker's always been a reputation for being calm and a little bit lazy in the ring. Outwork him.
Keep your hands up. Don't get your hands down. Keep your hands up.
Water, please.
Hey, and don't you telegraph your right hand. That's why you're getting away from it.
Whitaker on his third different trainer in a matter of months. Fell Torrance after Phil Borgia and Joe Goosen. Borgia was with him for the McCline fight, which Whitaker saw as a wake-up call. He's been in sort of a standstill since that loss and feels he really needs to make a big splash here tonight, even though it's against a late replacement.
You know, the trainer-fighter relationship is so key and important. It must be emotionally very difficult for a fighter to change trainers so often and get in sync, get their synchronicity down. It's got to be difficult.
Torrance, a protege of the legendary Eddie Futch, as the action heats up. The crowd getting behind the Cleveland product, Ray Austin. Cleveland not really that far from here. And Whitaker's more of an LA guy. Works out of Las Vegas these days.
The swelling around the left eye. Excuse me, the right eye of Austin.
Just noticed that too. Underneath the right eye of Ray Austin, not looking good. Whitaker continues to come forward, but he walks into a jab. Austin, feeling that his trunks are falling down, tries to pick them back up.
Well, they are falling down. He's about to hit the bottom of the cup line, which is not a good thing.
An overhand right that soars over the head by Austin. And a left uppercut that got through by Austin.
You know, it looks as if you look in his eyes, it looks as if Whitaker's looking for something. I'm not sure if it's that right hand over the drop left hand of Austin, or he's looking for something, but he's hesitating an awful lot.
Well, what do you think about a guy who comes in at over 281 pounds, Bobby? His last fight was 270, 250 won the fight before.
Well, that could be an indication that he didn't take this fight as seriously as he might have taken David Izon or a more appropriate contender, but he's a big man, and he's not as young as he used to be. Sometimes the weight just lands on there.
Goofi now
being extra.
29. He's 2 years younger than Austin. Whitaker 24-2 with 20 knockouts. His 2 losses against 2 big guys. Savarese and McCline both kept them off balance. Austin 16-3 with 12 knockouts. Obviously unheralded, relatively unknown. Found out about this fight just about a week and a half ago in replacing David Izon.
Watch your heads, fellas. Watch your heads.
We felt coming in that this might produce a more interesting matchup with Izon gone, because Izon was considered a shot fighter.
And Izon's pretty straight, stand up, doesn't give you a lot of movement that Austin does, and the style was much better for Whitaker to look effective.
Austin's punches are getting in, they're connecting. I don't know how hard they are, but they're getting in.
Time.
The judge caper. At the bottom of it is our Dave Bontempo.
All right, Steve. Well, Bobby, you were right. You know, you don't see that very often in a fight. What happened was there was a communications breakdown between the commission and the NABF. The NABF officials are doing the main event. Usually they do not do the fight before the main event. And in this case, one judge was not aware of it. So when Judge Bruce Foster was not found, the commission substituted. They found Stephen Allred from Charleston, West Virginia, a local official, plugged him right in, and we're ready to go.
All right, Dave, we not only have a late replacement for the fight, but a late replacement on the sidelines as a judge.
Feel like a champ, you look like a champ. Tonight you are a champ. Just keep doing what you're doing, baby. We in shape, we prepared. We prepared for this. Now coming down too, baby. Just keep the sharp shots coming.
That right eye of Ray Austin continues to close as we enter round 3 scheduled for 10.
Watch your head in there,
Austin,
Ray.
who's never been 10 rounds, was asked if he planned to take the fight inside or out. He said, my plan is to fight and win. Anything it takes. Confident guy.
Well, you got to like his attitude.
Well, he's a tough kid. No amateur experience. He learned how to fight in the streets of Cleveland.
Right now, he's not being that ineffective. I thought he outworked Whitaker just by the slightest of margins in the first round. Second round, I thought Whitaker outworked him much more effective. But when he hits and moves, he gives Whitaker some problems.
And Austin's punches are now getting harder. You can see Whitaker wincing. Whitaker, who mainly played basketball until while online at a burger joint in LA, was approached by a local trainer, Francisco Ortega, who said, hey son, how'd you like to make $1 million? That got him into boxing.
Well, I'll tell you, with that kind of size, obviously, we know the heavyweight division where all the money yields, but he's carrying around 280 pounds. He weighs well more than 1/8 of a ton. That is a lot of weight to move around, a lot of weight to get in condition. If he starts missing punches, he could get tired real fast.
And he's going up against a guy who turned pro at 27 4 years ago. So he's making up for a lot of lost time here. Now all of a sudden finds himself here in the spotlight, getting national exposure at the last minute against the #8 rated fighter as a heavyweight.
Okay, break. No punching. Give me a step. Give me a step, Ray. There you go.
See, if I were Whitaker, a fighter with experience, fighter's been 10 rounds many times, I would push Austin early, force him to maybe get tired, waste himself a little bit, see what he's prepared to do, see if he's prepared to go a long, hard, tough fight.
Austin, who lost his pro debut in '98 when he was 284 pounds, then won 14 straight, but 2-2 his last 4, including that TKO loss to Attila Levine. A lean-in right hand there by Austin, but no damage. Austin, well-traveled, a road warrior. He's fought in 11 different states. Trying to get inside Whitaker's long jab and be effective. Less than 30 seconds left, round 3. The right eye seems to be holding up better here all of a sudden for Austin. Whitaker has yet to really turn up the attack.
There were just 1 or 2 punches early in the round that looked like that bad intentions on. The other thing is that his emotion is just not there. There's no passion in his eyes. He just never seems to have any sense of urgency, and I find that unusual.
We prefaced the fight by saying that he has been criticized for a lack of tenacity at times.
Oh, that's all you gotta do, baby. That's all you gotta do. Give me some water, man. Give him some water. Pour some on his head a little bit. Come on, that's all you gotta do, baby. How you feel?
Good.
All you gotta do? Come on. All you gotta do to win? Look, we ain't gotta knock everybody out to win. All you gotta do is throw combinations, hand and foot speed, make you miss combinations.
Stay with your basic, okay? Don't get impatient. Keep your right foot on the floor. Give me a good sharp jab. The guy's busting up, okay? If you keep your jab and cut the ring off.
Austin being fairly effective in that round, many parts, working the jab and countering near a combination. Not real hard, but he's getting through, and Whitaker just not really getting focused or in the zone. There you see some wild shots. Again, Austin's trying to counter, but not really that effective with the counter. But Whitaker just not looking good. He's not
hit this body. Guy,
not throwing accuracy, not throwing a lot, not punches and bunches.
Well, we raised this issue before the fight began that perhaps he wouldn't take Austin that seriously, and add to that the fact that he has gained 30 pounds over the last 4 months. He's over 281 right now. We hate to beat a dead horse, but it could be a factor. This is round 4 scheduled for 10.
Since the weigh-ins of the day before, he could weigh up to 5 or 10 pounds more than he did yesterday.
Even more so now. Whitaker in the black trunks, Austin in the blue, which is looking more like red trunks as they go southward, because you can see the cut up above by the waistline.
See those wild telegraph swings by Whitaker. There's just no need for that. He's got a decent straight right hand. Pump 2 or 3 double jabs, step with him and fire the right hand right down the middle.
Watch your head, Ray. You're leading with your head.
I can't understand why he's being so wild and so round with his punches.
And he has exhibited punching power against Robert Davis and Oleg Moskayev, both explosive second-round knockouts. But he is lethargic here against late fill-in Ray Austin.
His shoulder in there.
Austin, who just calls himself a guy off the streets, now finding himself in the biggest fight of his career. A poking left jab right on the nose of Whitaker that bothered him a little bit. If this fight goes deep, that's where Austin may start to get into some difficulty. Up until 2 fights ago, he was never past 6, his longest into round 9, which he lost.
In there.
Austin been reasonably effective there, landing an overhand right almost at will. Not hard, but just sort of smacking Whitaker in the side of the head with it.
Well, Austin, to some extent, as he lands again with a left right to the head, is doing what McCline did by at least outworking Whitaker, out-hustling him.
And sometimes that's all it takes. Some fighters just do not hustle, and here's a perfect case of it.
Whitaker with something to say there. Austin's taken this round. as Whitaker looks a little out of breath, and he's lumbering. A slapping right hand. I don't know what the heck that was by Whitaker.
That was a flat-out slap. He smacked him.
That may be fatigue.
10 seconds, fellas. Work
And we're
out
only
there.
in round 4. And the crowd getting on Whitaker.
Time.
Still to come, our main event. Prezzo Kendo and David Tua for the NABF Heavyweight Championship. We'll take you into the dressing room of former top heavyweight contender David Tua, who has slipped dramatically in the ratings, working there with his manager trainer Kevin Barry. Tua making the big splash in the blowout of John Ruiz in '96. Rose in stature in a loss, a tremendous fight with Ika Beabuchi, but his more recent setbacks to Lennox Lewis and Chris Bird, humbling experiences. As Tua discovered, among other things, you can't always rely on your one-punch knockout power. Has he learned from that? And will we see the adjustments tonight if necessary?
We're going to watch Whitaker here. He actually just slaps. I mean, it's just, well, I don't even know what that is. Yeah, I mean, he's swatting flies. That was a slap. Something's amiss with his punches for sure if he keeps that up.
Little too much moisture and ice in the corner of Goofi Whitaker as we hit round 5. Scheduled for 10. Whitaker in the black. Austin in the blue, still trying to pull up those trunks. Now Goofi resorting to a clench to holding Austin. I think he's just flat tired.
I'm not sure from what though.
His mouth is wide open as well. When you start seeing that mouthpiece protrude from the mouth, that's also an indication of fatigue. Talking about Whitaker. And it could have something to do with that excess baggage. These slow pawing punches by Whitaker, slow motion. And let's see if Austin can get inside and take advantage.
Austin's just out working by little bits and pieces each round.
Left, straight left jab there by Austin. Another left. Those are shotgun jabs. He's just stuffing them in there, Bobby.
He's stuffing him nicely, trying to work the body. He's just trying to use his speed to beat Whitaker to the punch, land a couple and tie it up.
And Austin's gaining confidence. More movement now. Starting to circle around Whitaker. And Whitaker now checking for blood. Checking for blood around the right eye, Bobby. You saw that too.
I saw him checking in, but I don't see the blood.
He may feel something there, but we can't see it.
Scobie's head.
Midway through the 5th round. Oh, a clubbing right hand to the top of the head of Austin. Austin leaves himself open. Austin comes back.
Did a nice left hook. He hit Whitaker in the temple as Whitaker was trying to swing away. Whitaker just not throwing punches well, and he's getting pushed back and manhandled by a man 40 pounds, his junior.
And I watched tapes of Austin, and you can time his left and fire a right over the top because he drops his hands.
Watch your head in there. Watch your head.
Whitaker should be taking more advantage of that, but he told us he didn't see any tapes of Austin. And that's another problem.
Yeah, but you know what? Right now, his corner, he should have come back to the corner, and his corner should have given him the tools, or at least the instructions. He has the tools to go out there and make the adjustments.
Well, he's got a terrific trainer there in the veteran Thel Torrance, works with a lot of Las Vegas guys. And, of course, as mentioned before, worked under one of the all-time greats, Eddie Futz, so he learned a lot. So,
work out there, fellas.
Isn't there a point, though, where the fighter himself has to take it upon himself to do that?
Yeah, he has to do that, but what the trainer's job is to, when he comes back to the corner, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're doing wrong, and make the adjustments. Now, you have to make the adjustments, but they can tell you what they are. Sometimes the fighter's too close to the action to see it.
There is blood now down the nose of Whitaker, so he's starting to feel a little trickle there. It's beginning to open up now. I'm not exactly sure where it is originating.
Break. This time.
It's around the right arm.
Okay. Come here, Tom. Come here, Tom. Are you? So you're giving this guy a chance by letting him go. Okay? You had him all busted up. and you let him get some confidence.
Yeah,
Okay?
you're right, you're
You hear
right.
what I'm saying?
Okay.
Look here, go out and get the job done.
Yeah,
okay?
man, we need these
now,
rounds,
all
brother.
you need to do, listen, all you need to do, you put this guy on the rope.
Here we're going to see Austin on left. He's going to work the jab right up between the gloves, and then jab up between the gloves, throw the right hand, and then come back with another right hand here. And he's just outworking, not hard punches. There's the jab in the mouth. Jab, right hand. Whitaker does not, and there's another right hand. Just getting enough to land punches. Not real hard, not real pretty, but he's just outworking Whitaker.
Okay.
And that's, you know, that's just a shame. Whitaker needs to do something. It's just not working.
Blood appeared on Whitaker's right eye at the end of round 5. He started feeling around towards the middle of the round. It's the outside of the right eye. They've looked to contain it there. Now, we told you about Austin's trials and tribulations when the fight goes deep. Whitaker has not won a fight that has gone past 5 rounds in 2.5 years. And he weighed 249 back then.
Even Whitaker's trainer in the corner said, listen, you had this guy in trouble. You had him busted up, his eyes going closed. You're letting him get confident. Now he's thinks he can win.
That's one of the worst things a fighter can do, especially against a guy who's a lesser fighter. And Whitaker keeps checking his glove to see the blood, if the blood has come off. He's wiping it off his head. Again, Whitaker just pawing with the left, not unloading that big right. That's his big punch. And a pawing right. And a counter straight right that connected by Austin. And Whitaker just trying to hold him off.
Hey, break. No punching. No punching. You misstep, both of them. All right.
Stiff body shot with the right hand there by Austin. Austin thinking upset. If you're just turning in, a last-minute replacement for veteran David Izon, who pulled out 4 days ago. They say over a money matter, but who really knows?
In the overall big picture, this is just as good as fighting David Izon or anybody else, because he can't afford a loss here. A loss to a lesser guy even makes the loss appear that much greater. Whitaker cannot afford a loss here tonight.
Now, what's going through the mind of Izon right now, if he happens to be watching, seeing this exhibition by Whitaker? Probably saying to himself, man, I wish I was in there and not Austin. And here come the Boo Birds.
Well, it's a very slow-paced fight. These are two virtual giants, 6'5", 6'7", and they're very heavy. Between the two of them, weigh over 500 pounds.
We're hoping for a lot more action in the main event. Okendo Tua.
I can guarantee it.
Whitaker missing with the long right.
You see now here, working behind the jab. I talked about it. Working behind the jab, one of the keys to victory. He just refuses to. He's pulling, just looking to line him up for a big shot, measure him, working behind the jab. Duck it in his face, get his head up in here, and then take it off.
Okay. All right. Okay, watch your head.
The referee, Tim Wheeler, taking a long, close look at the head of Whitaker, which is just slightly bloody. Still to come, our main event, Fres Okendo and David Tua for the NABF heavyweight title. Into the dressing room we take you of #1 WBO heavyweight contender Fres Okendo, being led by a very expensive cheerleader, Felix Trinidad, in his corner, because Felix's father, Don Felix, is the trainer for this man, originally from San Juan, but grew up in Chicago, able to produce some unexpected victories, the biggest over heavily favored Clifford Etienne just over a year ago.
Right now, he open up something big, go for it, all right? If you drop, if you get the opportunity, of course.
Watch Whitaker with his long, rangy left hand. He's sort of holding it out there, just looking to use it to measure the right hand. But A, he doesn't really throw the right hand, and B, he's not doing anything effective with that left hand. He's just hanging it out there, And they got a little headbutt there. Watch it again. There's a little headbutt right there.
Well, that's why the referee did that. As mentioned, Ray Austin has been past 6 only once as we hit round 7, and that was a 9th round TKO loss to Attila Levine. That was July 20th of 2001. And as mentioned, Whitaker, Bobby, has been passed six times in his 26-fight career with a 4-2 record in those bouts.
But if you notice in this round, Austin comes out with more energy, almost as if the momentum's carrying him to give him a second win. And the thing is, Whitaker's not doing anything to put pressure on him to make him worry about those late rounds.
A little more purpose now by Goofi. Coming on a little stronger, stepping up the pace, but Austin has answers. Whitaker swinging wildly with that left and missing by a mile.
And we talked in the interviews, Whitaker said that he was working on sitting on his punches and really refining his technique, and it doesn't appear that he's made one bit of change.
No punching, no punching.
And he never seems to have a sense of urgency or have bad intentions on his punches. Not really. He's big and he's slow, but there has to be some meanness, even in his eyes. I don't see it.
Bobby, he also mentioned to us he was working very hard on the jab, in particular with the Thel Torrance.
Right, working on the jab
it?
and the combination behind it. And one of the things that I'm most upset with is that it's not there.
That was a rhetorical question. You're right. Past the midway point, round 7 scheduled for 10. Whitaker a bit off balance there. And leaning on Austin. Whitaker looks exhausted.
I'm not sure from what.
Well, as mentioned before, it could be the weight. It could be that he didn't train hard enough for this fight. Izon, Clay Bay, Austin, whoever's in there. And then on top of it, when you get a guy he never heard of in there, perhaps even getting more lax.
Some good body work there by Whitaker, but doesn't follow up to the head.
Oh, man. Did you see that?
He almost twisted his ankle. I saw his ankle turn. There's a nice right hand by Austin.
Unless Whitaker's just looking for that one big bang right here, he's in difficulty. He's sucking wind. He's leaning on Austin. His back is to the corner where you don't want to be. He's against the ropes. Dangerous position to be in.
Watch your head's in there.
For a very experienced fighter. He's eating leather upstairs. Now he turns Austin around, bops one off the head, but doesn't follow.
Well, he's pressing now. He's doing his best to get out of the corner. The press now, what he's doing is working the body. That's the most punches he's thrown in the combination all night.
Now Whitaker looks mad. He's starting to open up. He's gritting his teeth, but perhaps too little too late in round 7.
We got him. You got to keep working on him.
Here.
Give me that towel. That towel.
Give me a deep breath. Yeah. Towel back up again. Water, please. Press the towel.
Okay, water. Give him some water. Hand me the towel.
Where, the big towel.
Big towel.
The towel in your bag.
Towel right there. Come on, Lance. Come on. You got to stay on him. Keep working. Don't give him no damn man. Stay in his ass.
He's trying to work. Austin's on top and pushing him back in the corner, trying to work his way out and be effective. He threw punches while his back was to the rope, but he's not effective going backward. He's too big and his weight pushed backward. Here he's pushing Austin back out. Finally got probably the best combination of the night landed, but round was over.
Round 8 coming up. Let's go.
Bobby, even if Austin does present an awkward style, shouldn't the veteran Lance Goofi Whitaker have figured him out by now? I mean, how do you explain this?
Some fighters are less good at figuring out and even less good at making the adjustments. Corners need to be instrumental in this particular area. They really do, and I don't know that Whitaker's corner's doing it.
Round 8 scheduled for 10. Let's see if Whitaker steps up the urgency here and shows a little more intensity. Austin landing with a right hand to the head. Whitaker 6'7", Austin 6'5".
Man's back right. None of that.
As mentioned earlier, Whitaker's 2 losses to Lou Savarese and Jameel McCline, 2 big guys.
Out there.
Austin's a big guy, but certainly doesn't have nearly the experience of the 2 previous guys I mentioned.
Come on, fellas, clean it up. No more of that.
Now they're holding hands, and the crowd onto it.
Well, they're both tired, and when big men get tired, they really go slow.
And Whitaker began slow.
I used to wish I was a really big guy. Maybe not anymore.
You're a big mouth, I know that.
There's a big left
Say
hook
that
to the body.
affectionately.
Okay, break.
Midway round 8. Whitaker just sticking out the right hand.
He's lunging a little bit now, looking, you know, maybe sensing that he's going to lose this fight by decision.
Yep.
And right now I have behind by a little bit, and a couple rounds at this point is very big.
But Bobby, I don't see any boxing technique in Whitaker. He's just sort of lumbering along here. He's not getting inside with a jab, which he said he was going to do, and a clubbing right hand, a right cross to the head by Austin. And a waving left hook try by Whitaker. Nothing behind it.
And it's a slow wave at that.
Well, there's a pretty good right hand by Whitaker, but Austin stands right in front of him, takes
Free up in there, work.
and Austin leaves his head open. He leaves himself open. I think he is vulnerable to a big right hand by Whitaker.
Well, Austin bends a lot. It's a little bit of an awkward sort of sway. The timing for Whitaker hasn't been there. Speed's definitely not there.
I think he just underestimated this kid Austin from the streets of Cleveland, among other problems coming into this fight.
Okay, break, break. No punching, no punching. Listen up, fellas, listen up.
The pace has slowed down considerably. But at Showtime, it's going to pick up over the next few weeks. Check out our Showtime Championship Boxing and pay-per-view calendar. We'll be in Cardiff, Wales a week from tonight for a terrific matchup. Joe Calzaghe and Charles Brewer for the super middleweight title. Then the Rhino is back in action on the 27th. Clifford Etienne and Terrence Lewis. Terrific fighter, one of the top guys in the world. Kostya Tszyu will defend his 140-pound titles against the rugged Benteke. Ricky Hatton, so popular in Manchester, against Eamon McGee. That's where that fight will be, June 1st. And then a little fight called Lewis Tyson on June the 8th.
It's finally going to happen.
Yep.
Give me a good left hook. But look where the punch is going. Keep your eyes on him, okay? Okay.
Stay on him, man.
And the main thing I want you to do this round, look.
If he want to rest,
The main thing I want you to do this round,
out, man.
back him up, okay? Okay? Mouthpiece.
work. Keep working. Don't let him rest.
Go out and give him any rest. He sees that this guy's never been 10 rounds. Ray Austin, never been past the 9th round, and he's tiring. Last
Right
minute
here,
notice.
get this right here.
I mean, his fighter's tired too, but he needs to outwork him. I thought in the last round he outworked Austin by just the slightest of margins, but he's still behind.
Well, time is running out for Lance Goofy Whitaker. Round 9 scheduled for 10. Of course, we don't know how these judges are going to see it. One is a late replacement judge, as we waited for a couple of minutes before the fight began for a person to sit down on that judge's chair. It's rather unusual. Well, we presented these scenarios before the fight began. Was Whitaker going to take this guy too lightly, or was he going to blow him away? I think we've got our answer.
Whitaker briefly just switched to southpaw, which is definitely not his game.
He learned that under Phil Borgia, tried it a little bit against Jamil McCline, but we asked him about that, and he said that he would not do it under any conditions, but I think that's maybe an act of desperation.
Well, he did it there briefly for maybe about 5 seconds, but he's not really doing anything here except chasing Austin back and not doing anything once he catches him.
Well, here were your keys to victory for Whitaker. Work behind the jab, be more offensive-minded, and a straight right hand. What grade would you give him?
Oh, he failed. He failed today. And he's a nice guy, I like him, but he's just not doing the job. He's not working behind the jab.
Hey,
he's not being more offensive-minded. And the straight right hand, he slapped with it several times. He doesn't see a good straight right hand. And I think he's got to win these last 2 rounds to pull this out, and he's not doing this right now. He's got a minute left to win this round.
If he loses, he'd be 1-2 as Goofy. He may have to go back to Mount, which was his previous nickname. He comes off a win over some nondescript opponent, and before that the McCline affair, where he was just outworked. Under a minute remaining in the ninth, and he's been outworked here by a totally unknown, unheralded fighter.
You know, Leo said luck is where opportunity meets preparedness, and this kid was prepared to get lucky. He's outworking Whitaker, and he's going to hand him a possible decision loss.
And you know, it's interesting, Bobby. Austin told us in the meeting yesterday he was not preparing for any particular fight. He was just in the gym trying to help Shannon Briggs get ready for his next fight with Jamil McCline. So he had nothing scheduled. And then all of a sudden he picks up the phone. Hey, you're fighting Goofi Whitaker on April the 13th. It's the number 8 ranked fighter. Well, some trading here going on. Whitaker's trying to end it. And the bell sounds. Big finish by Whitaker.
He might have pulled the round out with that, Steve.
He may have stolen the round.
How you feel, baby? Why just give me a tell? How you feel? All right, sit back, Mom. Sit back. You're cutting your oxygen off. Yes. Give me some water in the mouth.
Watch here. Whitaker, as he's coming in, he throws a little jab, then he takes this elbow and shoves it right up in the face of Austin. Just sticks the elbow right in his jaw. Comes in, there you go. There's it. Watch the elbow, right in his face. Now he switch. You see it here? This shoulder's forward. He's an orthodox fighter. He's going to completely switch and put this shoulder forward and become a southpaw. There you go. Right shoulder forward, jabbing with the right hand. Desperation. Round 9. At the end of the round, Whitaker makes a nice move. He lands a nice right hand there, and it stuns Austin, but then Austin gets that right hand and a nice barrage of punches. He was in trouble.
Austin showing a chin. He's never been past 9 rounds. They got to touch gloves. Whitaker very late in getting up. They got to get him in there.
All right, fellas, let's touch him up. All right.
They touch gloves for the 10th and final round. Goofi's corner thinks he's doing just fine, that he's winning the fight, but I don't know about that. As mentioned, Austin's never been past 9, but this late replacement could be just under 3 minutes away from a surprising victory.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, if you take some of the close rounds that were very close and flip them, the fight could be even, but I think 5 rounds to 4 right now for Austin is a pretty fair assessment. The last round, I thought he pulled it out with a big barrage and staggering Austin, but he just doesn't do any work in the whole first half of the round. He just doesn't work.
But also with the bizarre judging situation, who knows? A guy shows up late, they can't find the real judge. Whitaker, I would think, really needs this round big.
I think he needs it big time to pull a draw, win the fight. It's real close. A couple of close rounds. You count big punches more than the little pity pats. We know power shots are worth more. But right now, Whitaker's winning this round.
He's jumping all over Austin. But now it looks like he may have run out of some gas. I don't know. As Austin pumps a few. A right uppercut by Austin. A right hand to the neck by Austin. And Whitaker just holding on.
Working there.
Again, Whitaker looks spent.
Okay, let's break.
We approach the midway mark of the final round. Whitaker steps into a left, but a glancing blow, big left on the ear by Whitaker. A better round for Whitaker.
He came out, obviously with some desperation.
Nobody's hit in here. Let go.
But he's just too tired to do anything.
Yeah, he continues to really suck wind. Whitaker leaning on Austin. Austin tired as well. 2 large heavyweights. Now Austin moving forward, telegraphs a right.
Right here, you can't help but think that either one of these guys just unloads with a burst of energy for half a minute and steal this round. So far, the round is Whitaker's, but he looks to be fading, and he's on the retreat now.
But not many people thought this fight would go this deep. The much more experienced, world-rated Lance Goofi Whitaker being taken to the distance by a total unknown.
Fellas, watch your head. Hey, let's break out. No punching, Lance. Give me a step.
I think a black eye on the career Lance
10
Goofy
seconds,
Whitaker. A
fellas,
very
10 seconds.
disappointing performance
We're all but there.
against a guy nobody ever heard of. And I think he's going to have to seriously change his ways
Very
for
good,
the future.
fellas, very good.
And you hear the crowd's reaction. Ray Austin, out of nowhere, may have won this fight, but you just never know with the judges. Did you have Austin?
I wind up having it a draw.
You did. So now we await the decision. It's in the judges' hands. Paul Artist from Washington, D.C., Gary Wolf from Parkersburg, West Virginia, and the late replacement judge who replaced Bruce Foster. They couldn't find Foster. His name's Stephen Allred. So we'll see how they saw it.
Early in the round, Whitaker came out with some desperation, firing shots. That right hand landing on the temple of Austin, jumping in with that right hand, just looking to push him, go forward, be the effective aggressor at all costs, working the body. Big clubbing shots, you see. Not real crisp combinations, not thrown with great technique. But at the end of the round, Austin winds up pushing the big man back a little bit, working the jab, getting some combinations in. And Whitaker just, I think, too tired to really do anything about it. Nice right uppercut on the inside, and overhand right. Again, Whitaker too tired to respond.
And there is Ray Austin pacing around in the biggest fight of his life, hoping for an upset victory here from the judges. It goes to the cards. Posing for some pictures.
I think regardless of the decision, Whitaker has got to be disappointed in his performance, letting a virtual nobody, last-minute replacement, beat him.
And who's
this close to
whose
him.
fault is that?
It's his.
Exactly. Came in 281.25 pounds.
Sometimes 29 in this business is very old, Steve.
You're right. We are set for the decision
I know it.
momentarily.
I know it.
Jimmy Lennon Jr. is getting the cards. He just wants to make sure everything is correct. Jimmy leaning over through the ropes towards us here. There's the official scorecard, and let's get it up there to Jimmy. Jimmy's still not sure. Now we've just learned there were 2 new judges in this fight, not 1. Let's get it up to Jimmy.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of action, we have a split decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Steve Allred, scores about 97-93 in favor of Lance Goofy Whitaker. Judge at ringside, Jim Pouchnick, scores about 97-93 in favor of Ray Austin. Judge at ringside, Gary Wolf, scores the bout 95-95, even a draw. The decision is even a draw.
Well, Bobby, you had it the way they had it, a draw.
But the problem I have with that is this. One judge has it 7 rounds to 3 for one guy.
Yep.
And one has it 7 rounds to 3 for the other guy. Nobody won 7 rounds of the 10.
A major dramatic disparity there. Allred had it 97-93 Whitaker.
I could believe 97-93 the other way first.
A gentleman named Parchnick had it for Austin 97-93, and I don't know if it was that wide. And then the third judge had it a draw. Boy, that's weird stuff. All right. We're about 40 minutes outside Pittsburgh here on the borders of West Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. We're in Steel Mill Country, a facility called the Harv in Chester, West Virginia, adjacent to the Mountaineer Racetrack, where boxing is the focus. And coming up next, our main event, WBO #1 heavyweight contender Prezo Kendo, boldly predicting a knockout in his collision with power-punching David Tua. Okendo says it'll be like cutting down a tree. And that tree is straight-ahead, hooking-style hitter David Tua. Still reeling from the losses to Lennox Lewis and Chris Bird off the one-sided stoppage of a trial horse named Garing Lane. Is two of the biggest tests for Oquendo. That's what people thought Oquendo's last fight, but he knocked out Izon in 3. The latest in a run of surprising victories when he's stepped up. But Tua promises to turn up his level of intensity and return to the Tua of old. If so, this could be an all-action affair. Post-fight reaction. Let's go to Dave Bontempo. Dave?
Thank you, Steve. Lance, first of all, your reaction to this verdict.
You win some, you lose some, you have a draw. It was a good fight, and I just started off like to say to my manager, Rock, and Dale, and Dion, everybody else for helping me out. I like to tell my son hello, and genuine everybody, and just working hard and everything.
What about your performance? How would you assess it?
My performance wasn't too great. I'm just now had a layoff and just trying to get back together, trying to work on my jab, style of my jab, and combinations, and just to get back. Made some changes, and train smarter and train harder. And it's the name of the game,
Now, the big question around here, of course, this week was the weight for you. You said I took off a ½ inch, but how did it affect you tonight?
It didn't affect me at all. We didn't with ankle weights. No, I'm just kidding. It didn't come at all. I just put on lost inches in my waist and try to put on a little bit muscle mass, and eating better, and just got to train smarter and harder. That's all.
Okay, thanks for sharing your thoughts. Let's go over to Ray Austin. Ray, did you think you had fought well enough to get this?
Yeah, myself, I thought I won the fight. I thought I pulled them last 2 rounds out because he looked a little winded, and I hit him with a lot of body shots, and I stayed busy.
Anything about this fight surprise you in the early going as far as you getting inside and being effective?
Yeah, well, I knew he liked it to fight inside, and I knew I was going to out hustling from the inside. But what surprised me and shocked me tonight that he was boxing a little better from the outside. So at the beginning, he was a little trouble for me because I wasn't expecting for him to come out boxing. He threw a couple of straight punches in the beginning, and then he kind of like winged me out with them wide punches towards the end. So he kind of like mixed me up a little bit because that wasn't what I was expecting from Goofi Whitaker.
Now, you were unknown coming in here. Do you think you took a big step up here?
Oh yeah, I took a big step up. A lot of people thought I came here out of shape, but I had been training because I had some other fights that supposed to been coming up, and they pulled out when they found out they was fighting the Rain Man, Ray Austin.
All right, thank you very much. Let's take it back now to Steve.
All right, thank you very much, Dave. I agree with Austin. If I was him, I would be upset that I lost also because he probably should have been the winner. Austin needed to win round 10 to get the draw. He did so on 2 of the 3 judges' scorecards, but the guy who had it for Whitaker, 97-93, I'm shaking my head over that one. Anyway, it's a draw. Before we get to the main event, let's see what is on the horizon here on Showtime.